The Ford F-150 Lightning, revealed a few days ago, is a really decent competitor to Tesla's EVs. And that means, I believe, that we Tesla owners will get more features by the time the F-150 comes to market. Plus, let's briefly explore a few other cool Tesla-related items from the past few days. Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. So obviously I'm not home. I'm actually at my son's house right now. Between Memorial Day holidays and the fact that we're trying to sell our house, and so we can't be in the house with our dogs. And our dogs are right here. There's Kona. Say hi. Say hi, Kona. Anyway, so I'm at my son's house and I'm recording this video here. So this is going to be a little bit of a scattershot episode, but I don't want to keep people who are interested in the Ford F-150 sort of lead story thing on the hook any longer than you have to be. So I'll talk about that first. So the big news, of course, is that Ford in their F-150 is going to do vehicle to grid, which means that basically your automobile, your truck, your F-150, you can plug it into your household power. And as long as you have the proper electronics that will allow you to run the battery backwards, basically, you can suck power out of the F-150 and power your house. Now, this is deemed to be an emergency type of situation. So they're not saying that you can do this like on a regular basis, and that would probably be, not so good for the batteries. That, by the way, is energy arbitrage, which I've talked about in a number of other episodes. You can check those out if you're interested. But I'm not talking about energy arbitrage here, but sort of emergency power. So if your house went out or something like that, that you would be able to run the power backwards. And Ford says you can power it 3 days for everything, I guess including air conditioning and stuff. Or you can run it for like 10 days if you're just running the necessities, things like refrigerators and stuff like that, and a few lights. So that's really cool. But I think that means, given how competitive Tesla always is, and Elon Musk in particular, like if you look back to the Lucid Air announcement, Lucid said they were going to get 500 plus miles. And then immediately after that, Tesla said they were going to get 520 miles in their Plaid Plus or whatever. So, Tesla's always seeming to want to outcompete all the other EV manufacturers. So basically, I'm assuming that means, and they've talked about this already before, but at least with the Cybertruck and quite possibly with most of the other vehicles, potentially just the ones that have the 4680 battery cells in them, that we are going to get vehicle to grid power. Now, the question that will be interesting is, do we get vehicle to grid power on an energy arbitrage basis, like I've talked about in other videos, or do they just do it in terms of emergency type of power? That is going to be an interesting question. I don't know the answer to that. My thinking is that they'll actually allow you to run it backwards and forwards with the 4680 battery cells and actually buy and sell power as you wish. That's my thought on the subject, but we will see. I can't imagine that Tesla would not compete and at least include vehicle to grid for emergency power, considering that Ford has just thrown the gauntlet down, and given how competitive Elon Musk and Tesla actually are. So on to the sort of scattershot element of all of this. So there's a very interesting secondary thing, which is that it's been revealed that Ford may have actually claimed their range was 230 miles for the F-150 Lightning on the low end, or if you get the extended range battery pack, it's 300 miles, but that actually is not what the real range is. The real range is up to 460 miles with the truck just by itself, and that 300-mile range was listed for towing 1,000 pounds worth of stuff. So the question on the internet now has become, why in the world did Ford actually they kind of undersold it, right? So basically the truck actually gets 460 miles or up to 460 miles of range. So why did Ford undersell that? I think I have a theory about that. And that goes back to the video I did about how Ford might kill themselves with this truck. They have to be very, very careful about how they announce this truck and what kinds of things they talk about and how much interest they generate in the truck, right? If they said, hey, we have a truck that goes up to 460 miles, and yeah, it might cost you, let's say it's $70,000, but that puts it in range of the Cybertruck and about the same mileage, range, etc. Who is going to want to buy an F-150 gas truck, especially right now with gas prices going nuts? And by the way, I had to go fill up the gas tank for our other car just today, and I was just like, whoa, it's very expensive all of a sudden. So it's getting to be a better and better deal to have an electric car. And I have a feeling that Ford is not interested in making this truck too good right now. So my theory, it's just speculation, is that they may be trying to underplay the range of this truck. And then later on, what they can say, of course, as it gets closer to release, they can be like, oh, by the way, what we actually meant was 300 miles with 1,000 pounds of towing, or 460 miles with the truck by itself. And so as they get closer to releasing it and they can actually produce the trucks, then they'll do that. But in the meantime, they don't want to steal sales from their gas-powered trucks. So that's my theory in it. Again, total speculation, but we'll have to see how that goes. And if that's the case, the the engineer that actually said that the 300-mile range was with 1,000 pounds towing was making a rather large mistake. Oops. Probably was supposed to be quiet, and probably the marketing team is like, shh, be quiet, shut up about that. And now onward to this really interesting graph that Best in Tesla showed. It shows sales of the Model Y and how it's absolutely crushing the segment that it's in, which is compact luxury SUVs. If you look at Q1 of 2020, of course, it just started selling, or I guess it was Q4 of 2019, but really it got ramping in Q1, Q2 of 2020. Notice that that's also when the pandemic hit, and so sales went to all heck for everybody else's cars, but the Model Y went crazy. But you can also see when we get into Q3 and Q4 of 2020 that the Model Y sales just completely outstrip everything from BMW, Audi, and Mercedes. So that's pretty astounding news, and assuming that the Model Y continues to ramp like that, and I assume that'll happen in Europe as well, when the German-made Model Y comes out, and also in China, although who knows what's going on with China right now. China, it seems like Tesla has kind of stalled out in China due to, unfortunately, what sounds like a lot of FUD, which is basically just sowing fear, uncertainty, and doubt with baseless rumors, essentially. So that is very unfortunate. But anyway, this is really, really good news about the Model Y, that it's doing this well and that it's crushing everything else in its class. All right, next topic is the cabin camera, which has now been enabled. A lot of people have noted that the camera, the software update has said that the cabin camera is now enabled. So what that means is that it can actually look at your eyes and it can actually determine if you're paying attention to the road. Some people have begun testing it. I really haven't had a chance to do that myself, but it does appear that at this point, the steering wheel is still absolutely necessary. You have to hold it and you have to jiggle it from time to time. But this is definitely a step in the right direction. I think as version 9 comes online, they want to be able to have you not really have to hold the steering wheel anymore. So I think they're kind of enabling the camera and version 9 of the software at the same time, more or less, right? So that they're going to have this out by hopefully sometime in July or something. They'll have the whole system working where you really can have hands-free driving for the most part, as long as you're paying attention to the road. And that's why the camera is going to be there. So anyway, I think this is all good news. I think, again, I've done other videos on this, but it really does look like now is the time when full self-driving is going to happen. The regulatory aspect will take a while, but the technology aspect, it really seems like they've got it solved. And then we get to a topic that's been touched on by both Best in Tesla and Solving the Money Problem, which is that if and when this $10,000 tax credit in the United States happens that Joe Biden and Congress are trying to put through, what is going to happen to Teslas? They're almost going to have to raise the price, because if you think about, say, a $40,000 car and you lower that down to $30,000, that means that you don't have like a quarter more people being interested in the car. You could have 10 times more people interested in the car, because a $40,000 car is very difficult to purchase, whereas a $30,000 car is much more in the kind of consumer class of cars. And if that happens, Tesla's almost going to have to raise prices to some extent. Stephen on Solving the Money Problem is saying $5,000, like half of that. Lars on Best in Tesla is saying more like $2,000 to $3,000. But whatever number you want to put in there, let's say it's $2,000. That's $2,000 of pure profit, because Tesla's already making money on the cost of their cars right now. And if they just jack the price up in order to make it more expensive for the consumer so that there's less demand, then that's just money in their pockets, and they're still making cars as fast as they can. So, right, if they were not supply constrained so that they were producing more cars and they had extra cars sitting around in the lot, that would be great. They could just sell it at that price. But right now they can't make the cars fast enough. And if they get like a year waiting list, people are going to get pissed off. So it's in their best interest to keep the prices somewhat artificially inflated at the moment. So that's just pure profit for Tesla, and that is pretty impressive. So that's an amazing thing to think about. And along those lines, my wife and I have actually started to think about purchasing a Model Y. What we might try to do is try to time it so that we can actually get the Model Y right when they introduce the tax credits, but before Tesla really raises the prices too much, so that we can sneak into that time period where we could actually purchase the car for under $30,000. Because I have a feeling what they'll do is that as soon as the tax credits come out, very shortly after that, they'll raise the price to over $40,000 so that it will be over $30,000 after the tax credits. So maybe we can sneak right in there. I just tweeted this morning about how I was driving my wife's Mazda CX-5, which is an ICE car, of course, and 3 times today I ended up having to go back to the car and turn the engine off because I totally forgot that the engine was still running. Like, you don't think about it at all anymore. And I have a feeling once the new tech comes out and you don't have to push park anymore, like basically you stop it in a stopping area, in a parking area, and the car just knows that you're in a parking slot and it puts it in park automatically. Even remembering to put it in park is going to be quite the thing. So it's pretty impressive how ancient driving any kind of gas car suddenly feels after driving a Tesla. And so we really are considering very strongly just getting the base level Model 3 to go along with our Model Y. We were going to wait for the Cybertruck, but my gosh, with these prices like that, if they can get it under $30,000 after the tax credits, it starts to become such a good deal, and gas is getting so expensive right now that it just makes sense for us to go ahead and purchase another electric car. And then we turn to Elon time again, which is that we had the June 3rd delivery event for the Model S's. It's now been delayed to June 11th. So it just seems like even when it's an official release, it still gets delayed for a week and a day, I guess, something like that. Anyway, so who knows exactly why, but I have a feeling they're still trying to fine tune the full self-driving version 9 and get it really, really good before they release the Model S. And also the Model 3 and Model Y, because those, of course, are not going to have radar in them or don't have it. I think they're being delivered right now. But the fact that they don't have radar means that they have to have full self-driving 9 out, which is vision only. So all of this stuff combined together means that they're probably desperately working to try to get all of this stuff as safe as possible, especially because they're going to be releasing it to a much more massive public without the beta testers that they've had. They've been very careful to curate the beta testers and make sure that they were very responsible drivers. That's no longer going to be the case when they release it widely. So they're going to have to be really, really careful about making sure that this stuff really does work as advertised before they release it to the general population. And finally, for our episode today, Tesla is apparently pre-purchasing chips from lots of manufacturers. In other words, they're paying for all of it beforehand, which is not the usual deal. You usually pay as you get them. But Tesla is so desperate for chips, and of course the competitive landscape is so nasty right now because of the chip shortage, that Tesla is just going ahead and paying for things up front to try to get it as fast as possible. And they may be considering purchasing chip production plants as well. So talk about vertical integration. If they actually are integrating everything from the mining to producing the chips to producing the metals to creating the car, et cetera, really Tesla eventually really could become an incredibly vertically integrated company. And that's pretty amazing stuff to think about. All right, I hope you enjoyed this kind of scattered episode. Let me know what you think about that. If you enjoy the fact that I touch on a lot of different subjects briefly, I would definitely be interested in doing this again. I don't know. Like I said, right now it's just because I'm having to move around and things are chaotic and it's Memorial Day weekend. But if you like this thing, definitely let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, please do like this episode so other people can find it. And of course, consider subscribing if you like this content. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon. You all are wonderful. I really am. I know this is chaos right now, but just give it a couple of months. I'm going to have a better studio and all of that stuff. And that's all thanks to you. Thank you so much. And don't forget about WeBull, which is a stock and crypto trading platform. If you look in the description, you click on the link and open an account, you get one stock valued at up to $250. And if you fund the account with $100 or more, you get a second free stock valued at up to $1,600. So that is a fantastic deal. Check it out in the description. And of course, don't forget about our merch store, which has awesome t-shirts like Tesla Rockets for the People, Don't Mess with Tesla, other t-shirts, tumblers, mugs, etc. So check out the link in the description. And finally, don't forget that we are both Tesla and Amazon affiliates. If you look in the description, you can see how clicking a link and going shopping helps the channel. Thank you. And as always, please feel free to ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is drknowitallknows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.